Welcome to SparkMap. SparkMap is built and run by a team of data analysts, programmers, and GIS technicians who collect, clean, and aggregate data from reliable secondary sources. We make these data available through two powerful tools, the Community Needs Assessment and MapRoom. Need to build a community needs assessment or gather more data about your community? Use SparkMap to spend less time researching and more time implementing positive change. The following video will provide examples of how you can use SparkMap. To keep up with SparkMap, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and social media accounts. Hello, and welcome to SparkMap. I'm Shay, and today I'll be helping you identify strengths and needs of your community or service area. First, I will provide a brief overview of two indicators that we will be using, the Social Vulnerability Index and the Opportunity Index. Next, I will work through an example scenario by generating a community needs assessment report using these two indices, plus some of our indicators used to create these indices. Lastly, I will walk through interpreting the report to draw conclusions about the community needs and strengths that we gain from the assessment. Let's get started. To begin, let's discuss our two indices of focus, the Social Vulnerability Index and the Opportunity Index. The Social Vulnerability Index is sourced from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the National Center for Health Statistics. This index uses 16 census variables, including socioeconomic status, household characteristics, racial and ethnic minority status, and housing type and transportation, to create an index rating the level of vulnerability of an area from 0 to 1. The higher a community scores, the more vulnerable it is considered to be. According to the CDC, social vulnerability refers to the potential negative effects on communities caused by external stresses on human health, such as disasters and disease outbreak. When you include this indicator in the Community Needs Assessment, you will receive the Social Vulnerability Index score for your area, plus a table comparing your county to the state and national average, a dial chart with this comparison, and an interactive map of your area. This indicator is available at the state, national, and county level for all subscribers, custom areas for premium subscribers, and the zip code level for premium annual subscribers. Now that we understand more about the Social Vulnerability Index, I want to highlight the Opportunity Index. The Opportunity Index is an indicator created by Opportunity Nation, a bipartisan effort put together by the Forum on Youth Investment. This index creates an opportunity score for a community from 1 to 100 based on using a combination of economic, education, community, and health data. The higher a community scores, the more opportunity it is assumed to have. When you add this indicator to your community needs assessment, you will receive a table and a dial graph comparing your area to the state and national benchmarks. You will also receive the scores for each dimension: economy, education, health, and community. These scores can help you better identify community strengths and weaknesses. The Opportunity Index is available at the county, state, and national level for premium SparkMap subscribers. Now that we've discussed these two indices that we'll be using today, let's create a community needs assessment with some additional indicators to learn more about our service area. Now that we've opened SparkMap, let's navigate to our Create tab and select New Community Needs Assessment. Right now, I am logged in to SparkMap as a premium subscriber. That's why I have features such as Draw My Area, Pick from Map, Multi-County Selection available, and then also if I go look at my data indicators, you can see that I have access to click on all of the indicators. For this demonstration, though, let's imagine that I am a health consultant and my client in Clark County, Indiana, has asked me to identify the strengths and weaknesses related to health for the county and then provide recommendations for improvement. I'm going to start my community needs assessment by selecting Indiana as my state and Clark County as my county, and then we will proceed to step 2. So either click data indicators here or go to step 2. In step 2, I am going to go ahead and include the indicators that I want to look at in this assessment. First, I'm going to add the indices that we talked about previously, which can be found under other social and economic factors. So I am going to check the social vulnerability index, and then I am also going to check the opportunity index, which is down here. Again, remember this is a premium indicator, so only those with a premium subscription will have access to it. Otherwise, this will be grayed out. And then we are going to proceed to step 3 and generate the report. Let's briefly walk through the report. So first, we can see that when it comes to social vulnerability, Clark County is in a fairly good position. It's less vulnerable than the state of Indiana or the United States. And we can tell by looking at this overall number here. We can see the different categories and how they compare between the county, the state, and the United States. And we can also tell by looking at this dial chart here, where green is representing where Clark County, Indiana is in terms of social vulnerability. Dark blue is for Indiana, light blue is for the United States. And we can click these on and off to just compare to one, or to have no comparison at all, if we choose to do that. And then as we look at the interactive map, we can also see areas of higher or lower vulnerability throughout the county that we could explore further. As we scroll down and look at the opportunity index, we notice that the county has a slightly lower opportunity score than the state of Indiana or the nation. By looking at our dimension scores, if we scroll down, we can see that although the county is rated higher than state and national average when it comes to both the economy and educational opportunity, it's lower on the health and on the community opportunity levels. These are 2 potential domains that I could advise my client to target to raise the opportunity levels in Clark County, Indiana. Based on the opportunity index, let's dive into the health domain a little bit more. According to the Opportunity Index data and scoring information linked in the description below, the health dimension is based on 3 indicators: the uninsured population under the age of 65, low birth weight, and deaths related to alcohol and drug use, and suicide, which are also known as deaths of despair. If you were going through this process on your own, you would go back to step 2 and add these indicators. But for presentation purposes, I have gone ahead and created this report for us. So let's check it out together. Now you can see that our community needs assessment has the social vulnerability index and opportunity index, but it also has those 3 sub-indicators of the health domain that we had just talked about as part of the opportunity index. Looking first at our uninsured population under 65 indicator, Clark County is performing better than state and national average. If we scroll down further, we can see the year-by-year breakdown of total percentage of uninsured people under the age of 65 in Clark County since 2011. Based off of this data, it's unlikely that the uninsured population is leading to the low health opportunity score. Now let's look at the low birth weight indicator. This indicator, sourced from the CDC, reports the percentage of live births where infants weighed less than 5 pounds 8 ounces. This is the same criteria the Opportunity Index looks at. When we look at this indicator, Clark County is performing slightly better than state and country average. But when we scroll down to the breakout data, we can see that there is a higher percentage of babies born with a low birth weight for the non-Hispanic white population and the non-Hispanic Black population in the county when compared to state and national average. This could be an area worth investigating further. Lastly, let's examine our deaths of despair indicator. Immediately, it is apparent that there is a much higher rate of deaths of despair in Clark County than the state and national average. Within the county, there is an age-adjusted death rate of 70.8 per 100,000 people. If we probe further, we can see breakout data for the indicator by gender and by race and ethnicity. We can also see the yearly trend data for the state and the country, showing year-by-year comparison for 2010 to 2020. For the most part, deaths by despair have been steadily increasing both statewide and nationwide, signaling an area for increased attention. Okay, so we discussed lots of information going through this report. To meet my objective for creating the report, what can I tell my client are the strengths, areas for improvement, and recommendations for improving the health of those in Clark County, Indiana? Let's go back to the PowerPoint and summarize. First, when it comes to strengths, Clark County, Indiana has a low social vulnerability index score. This means the community can expect to be fairly resilient if it were to experience disease or disaster. Additionally, the county has higher than average economic and education opportunities when compared to the rest of Indiana. Second, when it comes to areas for improvement, Clark County has lower than average health and community opportunities. When looking deeper into the health dimension, we found that overall, more of the population under 65 has health insurance than the state and national average. This is a bright spot. However, there is a higher percentage of babies born at a low birth rate for both non-Hispanic white and non-Hispanic Black residents in the county. Lastly, Clark County, Indiana has a much higher death of despair rate than both state and national average. This is important to probe further, as death of despair is an indicator of poor mental health. What recommendations can be made for this information? Clark County needs to examine opportunities related to improving health and community. When it comes to health, two areas that the Opportunity Index point to targeting include low birth weight and deaths of despair. A great place to find evidence-based strategies is the CDC. For example, the CDC's Promoting Health for Infants portal includes many evidence-based resources to help individuals and communities change behaviors and get involved with programs that encourage a healthy birth and first year of life. In this webinar, I discussed the Social Vulnerability Index and Opportunity Index in the SparkMap Community Needs Assessment. Next, I guided you through a scenario where I was tasked with assessing community health and making recommendations for improvement. To meet this objective, I demonstrated how to create and interpret the Community Needs Assessment report. Lastly, using the information obtained by the report, I provided data-based recommendations to target areas of need in the community. I hope this webinar was helpful. If you have any questions, please contact us on our website or at sparkmap@missouri.edu. Thank you for learning more about SparkMap. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via the contact form on sparkmap.org. Don't forget to subscribe.